Good morning still. Yes, we are not quite noon yet. So far so good, that's great. And as I was really sitting there listening to that pitch, it was so inspiring, isn't it? To hear from students like this with all this passion and vision and the goal they've set for themselves. So we really applaud them. How about give them a big applause? 6 months ago, I was in that position, sitting there. I was standing there doing the pitch. It was quite daunting having to stand in front. Well, this is a big crowd. You were doing a small group then. So even then, a small group was quite daunting. So I have to say that if you have a chance to get to the change maker, you've got another one coming up?
No, this is the last one.
No, last one. Oh, what a shame. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, they will get more funding. And if they run again, well, this is a great place to learn all about social enterprise. So I'm excited that we're all here today with the same common goal, to learn about social enterprise. And today we have a privilege to learn from a panel, a group of panels. I'm going to invite them to come up the front so that you can have a chance to ask them questions. First, Kevin. He's arrived. Yeah, Kevin, the founder of Marcel Cafe, former social enterprise project. Renuka Devi, founding member of the Common Equity New South Wales. Rosanna Barbero Juan Carlos, project manager, Stirrup Cafe, Addison Road Community Centre. And we got Joady MacManus, founder Mad Families Cognitive Expressions. And we got Pettit, general manager New South Wales, Lentil as Anything. We got enough chairs for everyone?
No, one shot.
One shot, we couldn't count.
I'll stand up.
Too short.
Okay. Well, we got until 12:30 to hear from these our friends, our panels. So how about if I get them individually to introduce themselves and talk a bit about what their social enterprise is all about, and then after that we'll pass around for questions. We'll start with.
Is this the 5 to 7 minutes?
Yeah, please.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Cool. My name is Kevin Crouse, one of the founders of Marcel Cafe in Parramatta. The cafe is still there, but I'm not running it any longer, and it's changed its focus a bit. In 1991, I was in my dorm room with some friends at a university in Michigan, trying to figure out how to solve the world's problems. And I was one of those problems. I had just come from a family situation that was had a lot of confusion and heartache and surviving abusive relationships, and I consider myself a survivor of abuse. And I wanted to do something good in my world. And where I was actually a school where I was studying to become a minister. And as I was studying, I was finding that I was having a hard time with what I was seeing in the churches that I was exposed to. It was interesting hearing earlier someone of faith who was talking about mission work. And I really struggled with how we were in the world as people of faith. I've always been a struggler, I've always been a doubter. I was trying to figure out, how can I create a space that's for everyone? When I came in, one of the stories that I heard only a few minutes ago was about a daughter wearing a hijab and the tension that's around that. I really get angered by my Christian brothers and sisters who judge others because of their different faith. I wanted to create a space that would engage everyone and not be about faith, but about living it out and being in community with people who are different. And I believe that all of us have needs. So back in 1991, a bunch of friends, we came up with this idea of a cafe space in an urban area. And I had no idea what I was in for. Part of what we're talking about is how to be successful at this. It took 10 years of thinking and planning and dreaming And then it became time to move from Penrith, where my wife and I first started living with our 2-year-old son at that point. And we've had another child since, and they're now 18 and 21. So a lot of water has gone under the bridge. And we decided to move from Penrith to Blacktown because that was the closest that we could afford to get to Parramatta. So this whole thing of going into social enterprise takes a commitment, maybe even a commitment to move to a different community, to be closer or within the community you want to work in. We couldn't afford Parramatta, that's where we wanted to work. So Blacktown was where we still are, and I love the community there. And we had no idea how much work it was going to be. I'd never put in a development application to a city council. And Parramatta Council is fantastic and progressive, but also they're a city council and they've got regulations and you've got to comply. We signed a lease thinking that someone was going to help us with the fit out. And they said, all you need to do is supply all of the materials. I'm a builder. I have a cabinet maker, a plumber, an electrician, and an architect. We'll take care of all of that. Just take care of the materials. Never came to the party. So after 10 years of dreaming, I launched my family. I have to excuse myself ahead of time because meeting with Suji, I committed to tell the honest story. And whenever people have come to Mars Hill, I've always told them the honest story when they've wanted to do the same thing. It's a hard journey. And if you're going to be committed to this thing of social enterprise and making a difference in your community, whatever it is, you will pay a price. And that is always kind of at the forefront for me. And Suji joked about getting weepy. Well, here I am. So we launched into this thing, and I was spending from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. fitting out, doing stuff that I'd never done before because the builder never came through. Another agency came through after a month, and we were running out of free rent period and all of that. And finally, after a couple months, that 10-year dream came to be. We were able to open the doors of this space that I haven't found anything else like it. I'm very proud of it, but I've been away from it for about 3 years now. I now work for a coffee roaster. So it's very interesting that I started a cafe and was engaged in the social enterprise space. And we had no idea what we were doing. When we put that machine, and I remember lifting that 2-grip machine by myself and putting it onto the bar, I had never made a professional coffee in my life. The first flat white that I made was half water, half milk, and a skim of froth on top. It's not the right way to make a flat white. There was coffee in it. We had a lot to learn. And we had a big journey to go on. Within the first, probably year of the cafe, so this cafe was not a Christian cafe. I hate the idea of calling a place a Christian cafe. It was a place that, yes, was spiritual, and was for the community, and wasn't selling anything, especially not Jesus. I've got a problem with a lot of faith stuff and how we are in our world. Yeah, enough about that probably. But anyways, in the first year, my boys were part of the whole fit-out process. I've got a picture of them just as little guys with a paint roller together helping to paint one of the walls upstairs at the cafe. They were very involved in the process. My wife and I were core in this, running this cafe, and so we were away from the home a bit. It was either one of us at home and one of us at the cafe, or vice versa. And then when the boys got old enough, they baristed at the cafe. Within that first year, we got a phone message left on our answering service. And it was this really strange sounding voice, really deep and angry, and saying, "I am the son of Satan. We don't want any Christians in Parramatta, so get out." And my boys had been running around Church Street and the back car park and running down to different shops. And I had to fear for their life. Later, one of my staff said, "Kevin, there's this guy that wants to talk to you." I was really busy making coffee, serving customers, whenever we could sit down and give more than just a cup of coffee. It could be a counseling session, it could just be a listening ear, it could be whatever. So I finally was able to sit down with this guy, and this meek gentleman very sheepishly said, I have a confession to make. I left a message on your answering service. And it's somebody that had been burned by a faith organization. And he needed a safe space, and he didn't trust that there could be a safe space in Parramatta. He became a regular customer and a friend, and someone that totally disagreed with me in a lot of ways. And we would go round and round in our discussions, but I could be there and support him. So over the years, Marcel Cafe took its toll on me, my wife, and not really on my kids. My kids are amazing young men. They're both studying neuroscience at the University of Western Sydney. So proud of them. My oldest son is in honors this year. He's a rock star barista. He's got a tattoo on his arm of a Rosetta, which got him his first rock star barista job in Castle Hill at the Baron. He works at the Baron in the tuck shop and studies full time. Amazing young men. I was always concerned that this was going to mess them up, that they were going to become heroin addicts or, whatever. But instead, it gave them passion for people and a compassionate heart for their community. And they're continuing to do that. 3 years ago, we went to Tanzania and worked with a school organization there together called Village Schools International. I was hoping to go back in July, but it's now delayed to next year. There's a cost. My wife and I, at certain points throughout the 10 years that we ran Marcel Cafe, would turn to each other in bed at night and say, what were we thinking? Now, I would never trade that 10 years. And I miss it. I miss being there. But if you're going to go into social enterprise, it's hard, it has a toll. We didn't have the support that is being presented here and has developed. I was part of the first cohort of students for the School for Social Entrepreneurs. What an amazing experience. I would have quit a couple of years earlier if I didn't have that support. And it also helped me go through the process of realizing at 10 years, it's time to stop. But it hasn't stopped as well. I still get phone calls. People that I helped not commit suicide, walked with in their life, helped them get a leg out, and now they've got a recording studio because we're a live music venue and an art gallery. It continues. So, realize, you need support, you need to make wise choices in your planning, but also there's going to be a cost regardless. And hopefully you'll go in it with the heart that I hope I've expressed, with a passion for people, and being part of change. Thanks.
Suji, you want to make a quick announcement. There's a bit of a glitch earlier with the introduction, so Suji going to rectify that. Thanks.
It's my fault, basically. So there was a bit of confusion around the panel, and I apologize. Renuka is from Ethnic Care Co-operative, and they do childcare and aged care and disabilities, and she'll talk about that. Introduce Robyn Cahoun. She's from Common Equity New South Wales, and they do housing. So please, Robyn, if you could join the panel. Can I just ask, in the interest of time, to keep it to 3 minutes? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be calming you.
That's good. Hi, my name is Renuka. I'm a co-founding member of Cooperative Home Care, which we started in 2013. And we went through a lot of difficulties and challenges to be where we are. The founder of the company is Robyn Cahoun, who started and wanted to start a business as a cooperative company where it is a member-based company. And so she emailed a lot of people who wanted to join in to find 5 members to start a company according to Australian government. So we went in and we we went through a difficult moment discussing and finding people who could help us to start the company. But eventually we ended up starting, and now we have got a branch in Southwest where I'm the team lead. I'm case coordinator also to look after the residents, the clients in their homes. And we went through one transition that one of the residents in a nursing home wanted to come back to his house and to be looked after in the house 24 hours all day. So we went through that transition. It took us 3 months, and then we had to remodel his house through New South Wales State to remodel the house to his liking and to his living activities. And at the moment we have New South Wales, in the Southwest we have got 6 staff plus myself 7. And we have in Inner West, we have got about 20 staff working and looking after people in their homes, including mental health people who don't have place to go in, and the aged people mainly who do not want to go to a nursing home because of the quality of care they receive in nursing homes. Our company is working towards giving the best quality care to the people at home, and we employ people who are at that higher skill level to do that. We continuously look after our staff as well as our clients into giving the best quality care, because we do not want them to suffer the way they have suffered in their young age or till they got someone to look after in their house. Because if people all have that, in home people die and no one is there to look after them, or no one there to check them, or have a social activities, or just have a cup of tea and talk to them. People are in their home very lonely, and that is the why our company has started going into people's home, sitting with them, even if we just sit for an hour and talk to them. That really makes them happy, that makes their day. We have achieved a lot doing all this, and we are looking for more clients and people that we can help, we can give our service to. As he has shown, Ben has shown with the clock, I would like to say that I'm actually looking for office space in Southwest area, Campbelltown, Liverpool, anywhere. If anyone can spare a room out of the office, we will really appreciate it. If they can contact me, I will leave my details soon. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Robyn Cahoun and I'm from Common Equity Cooperative Housing. Cooperative housing has been around for a long time, and in New South Wales, my organisation, Common Equity, oversees 34 different cooperatives, and those cooperatives may be comprised of people who have some sense of forming a community, but they can be very wide and varied. Some are ethno-specific communities, some are communities of women, some are communities of families, we have artist communities, we have all different types of communities. A housing co-op is formed by a group of interested citizens who want to develop housing that creates not only a communal interest, but where that communal interest actually contributes to the operation of that housing. So the housing is predominantly targeted at people who are seeking affordable rental housing, and the way it operates in New South Wales is that those cooperatives would normally approach Common Equity, and our organisation is a registered housing provider, and work with us to actually create their cooperative. It's quite a bit of work to do. People have to work hard to set up a set of rules and work out how they're going to operate as a cooperative. They have to apply to the New South Wales Registrar of Cooperatives and be approved by the registrar as a cooperative. And they then have to work with us to actually acquire some housing. In years gone by, it wasn't such a hard thing because you could apply to New South Wales Housing and say, we are a cooperative and we would like you over the next year or 2 or 3 years to allocate some housing to our cooperative. It doesn't quite happen that way now because housing is a scarce commodity. So those new cooperatives need to work with us around ways of funding and building or acquiring property. So it's a little bit of a slower process. Nevertheless, a very successful process because tenants get to have a say. Our cooperatives are semi-self-governing, so they make choices about who might come into a vacant property. They work with their committees and manage rent. They manage the income coming into the cooperative, and they coordinate some of the day-to-day maintenance. Common Equity works like a big umbrella organisation over all of them, and we handle the bigger issues around housing registration, major maintenance, making sure that we comply with all the rules and regulations that need to happen. So it's a bit of a joint effort, and I'm getting them lined up. I'm going to leave some brochures over on the table if anyone is interested in the organisation, but certainly co-ops are a great way for people to work around creating their own housing and have a say. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Rosanna from the Addison Road Community Centre organisation, and we're based in Marrickville. And I am going to talk about one of our social enterprises, which is the Stirrup Cafe. But before I do, is there anyone in this room that is familiar with the Addison Road community? Okay, so just in a very nutshell, we have 9 acres of land, 32 buildings, art gallery, halls, 2 theatres, and we provide, one of the arms of our operation is to provide affordable office space for not-for-profit organisations and artists, and the other side of our work is community development. We are about, it varies year to year, but we're about 97% self-funded, so we have had no government support in any way, not for staffing and not for any of the ventures that we've embarked upon. The cafe, we set it up because we're committed to 2 principles, and these principles resonate with social enterprise. One of them is we were looking for a revenue stream that would allow us to advance our social mission. And we set up a cafe because we had a little space. We've got a great market. We're in an area where people love coffee, and we saw the opportunity to promote fair trade, to promote a different type of grassroots trade that has an ethical, environmental and human rights agenda, and that was very important for us. The coffee that we source is from Papua New Guinea. We have a relationship with the coffee growers. We are very engaged in the price that they receive from the coffee that we purchase. A lot of the women growers are part of a women's social economic development and empowerment project, and we keep up to date with the benefits that go into the community. Insofar as our local community, the profits, and I don't know how, Juan Carlos will shed further light on this, I don't know how we were able to make a profit from day one, but I don't think it was design. I think it was more by accident that we have. It's a very successful enterprise. We've created 8 jobs, and the profits that we're making from the cafe are going into supporting our art gallery, and we've been able to have exhibitions at the art gallery for refugees and migrants, and some of our partners are here today, like Dina from Ignite, Des from Starts. and Fuji, of course, where artists have been able to exhibit their work and sell. I'm already being told to stop. And so, you know, it hasn't been easy because we have done it on a shoestring. It took about a year longer than what we anticipated to start the cafe, but most of the work was done with volunteer labour. But one of the most important lessons that we have learnt from this, even though it's been a very successful enterprise, is that every subsequent enterprise that we have embarked upon, and there's been others, we've done it with partners. And that's been a lot more successful for us. And also we've realised that for us, we're in a very good space where we can create opportunities for others also to benefit. And mostly is having access to a market, and a market that has extra cash to spend that perhaps a lot of other enterprises in other areas don't have. So I'll just hand over to my colleague, Juan Carlos.
Yeah, I suppose that the magical thing in this particular project, the cafe, was that we used the proper product. We were selling the proper product. If you are familiar with Maryville, in the mornings everyone is walking, looking for a cafe place where to have. Exactly. All pale, standing hands. It's not a zombie movie, but it's people looking for cafe, for coffee, sorry. And probably Kevin knows that too. As a result, it's a very small space, as you can see over there, 3x4, it's a hole in the wall. Really good cafe, really good coffee, sorry, cafe. Yes. Yeah, as you can see there, with two funky ladies there, selling good cafe. And so we are quite successful, especially on Sundays. When we have the Sunday markets, we have a lot of savings. As Rosanna said, it allows us to put in place different programs in Addison Road Centre. Being the most important ones for that particular building, the gallery. We have a gallery, and thanks to this cafe, allow us to give the gallery to emerging artists around the center that can have the gallery for free for weeks on. And then we will go trying to. Did you want to use some of that? No? Good. I suppose we have the key thing is find a good product, the right product, the very product that you think everybody needs, and put it out there, and you're going to be successful. That's summing it up today.
Hi, my name's Matt Pettit. I work for an organisation called Lentil, Anything. We're a community restaurant that's based in Newtown. One of the main things about community is actually finding people who really want to be part of what you're doing. And when you're looking at creating a social enterprise, you've got to remember, it's not about you, it's about community. It's about other people and helping other people and finding people who want to be involved in that. Other things that you need to look at is you need to be able to look at what you're wanting to do within your own life. My background, I was an entrepreneur. I made $1 million setting up an internet audience measurement company, lost $500,000 on the next business that I operated, gave the other half of my $1 million to my ex-wife, and then decided to start everything all again. It's not about money. If you're wanting to start a social enterprise to make money, think about doing something else, because you're looking to try and do something to help the community and to help other people. One of the things that you need to look at is to be able to find out where that community is and actually find a market niche. One of the things that Lentil is it's a vegan restaurant. There is a large vegan community in Sydney, so we looked at trying to create a safe space where vegans could enjoy themselves without having to look down a menu and go, can't have that, can't have that, can't have that. they can have every single thing that's there. We look at trying to share our vision with as many people as possible. When Mark was talking about the 3 different buckets of social entrepreneur, we're bucket 1. We look primarily to try and find employment pathways for people, and that's our mission. It's not about creating food, it's not about feeding vegans, it's about creating employment pathways for people. We look at trying to give food to those people who are at risk and don't have anything. And of course, I forgot probably one of the most important things about a restaurant. We have no prices on our menu. You come in, enjoy your meal, and at the end of it, we have a donation box that sits at the front. You anonymously pay what you want. And that makes it a very different social model to others, because we're not looking at pricing. We have absolutely no choice on what people pay. And if you want to Google Lentil a little bit later on, you'll see that there's been some articles in the last couple of weeks where once in Melbourne, after a particular festival, people came in and they donated on average under $3 for their meal. But as a consequence of that, and articles that came out, the average donation on our Sydney restaurant has increased by $2 a plate in the last week. Because the people of Sydney know what we do and they know what we stand for, and they don't want to lose that. So, as I said, the 3 principles were wanting to make sure that we can feed people, but we also have long-term unemployed people that we look to try and create employment pathways for, and refugees that we look to create employment pathways for. And what that does is it resonates with our community, and people come in and enjoy themselves because they feel affinity. So when you're starting your business, you need to find who the people are that you're looking to target. You need to be able to find out what interests them, so that you can create something for their need. Not your need, not for what you want to do, but for what they want to do. Once you can find that, you'll be able to succeed. I wish everybody good luck.
Hi, thanks very much for inviting me today. This time last year, I was one of the SSE people standing up giving a pitch and being absolutely terrified doing it. So to be sitting here amongst experienced people has just been a fantastic journey, learning curve. It's really fills my heart to be surrounded by such wonderful people. The School for Social Entrepreneurs has been a real lifeline and support for me. My venture, it's not, when I say I'm with Mark, how he said people don't understand the term social enterprise. It's 100% true. I now say that I have a business, but it has a social heart. It has the community, the wellness of others at its core, and that is what's driving me forward. My enterprise is called Families Talking Depression because I was in that situation. I found it very difficult to get help, and I stood up. I went, I can't stand this. I'm in a position where I can do something about this, and I'm going to do something about this, and the School for Social Entrepreneurs has been that rock for me to get me through. It's a great idea. It's great to sit down and, oh, yes, isn't it great? Great, airy-fairy. But it took me 3 business plans, 4 mentors, to get to the end of last year, where I won the Macquarie Foundation Kickstarter grant, which was $10,000. A lot of work, a lot of meeting big-end people. It was a great opportunity, which I've grabbed with both hands and going forward. It's been a lot of hard work. I've literally sacrificed a wage. From SSE, I went across and did a NICE scheme, a government grant funded scheme, but which again has given me a mentor, and that's great. I have a fortnightly money coming in to keep us going, but I have to meet guidelines. I have to do what the government tells me to do, and that also keeps me going. I am a solo. I'm by myself because I was the one that came up with this idea, and it's hard to be a solo startup social enterprise at home, working from home, keeping the motivation going. But winning the $10,000, what more motivation can you get? I now go to the Nice office one day a week and work from there because I was distracted by the cat, the dog, the washing, everything. So no more distractions, I'm there, I'm working hard. It's coming together, but it's a hard slog. And I've had to also stand up and admit to a room of strangers that we have mental illness in our family, and that was a very, very hard step to overcome. But once I did it, the freedom I felt was just incredible. And that has given me the courage to go forward as well. So it's a hard slog, and I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Thank you, panels. And according to my clock, we got exactly 10 minutes. And we hope to fit as many questions as we can. You might stretch a bit longer if you need to. If you can keep your questions simple and short and to the point. And if I can ask the presenters to answer the questions to the point and short. If you need more details, I'm sure there will lunch break after that. We have more chance to get more details and talk to them personally. So, could I have a first question if there's one?
I'm new. My name's Vicky. In case you forgot, because you wouldn't. My name's Vicky from Addison Road Community Centre. I'm sorry, I forgot your name from the home care co-operative. Renuka. Yeah. So my question is to Renuka. Is your home care service a private enterprise, or is it partially funded through government?
It's not funded.
So you built the whole thing up from the ground up using your own resources and your own money and getting people together. Well, congratulations. It is difficult to run it with government money. It's even harder when you don't have that. Congratulations. It's very good.
This is a question for anyone on the panel who chooses to answer. So you have to keep it quick. But obviously on one side there's all the practical stuff you have to learn. You know, you have to be very concrete in what you're doing and realistic, etc. But underneath all the stories, you know, is this idea of passion. Like you had something that you believed in and you were going to make damn sure that it happened no matter what it took. So could a couple of you maybe say a little bit more, especially when the going gets really tough and you feel like giving up, how does that passion kick in to keep you going?
Wow, that's a very good question and a tough one as well. Who would like to volunteer? Okay.
Sometimes the passion was the only thing that got me up in the morning with the job that was ahead of me. Having a circle of friends who were also committed to this project was core. So people that I could count on, that I could talk to. And part of what we did with the cafe was provide a space where people had a voice. I needed that voice as well. And if I didn't have that, and also I couldn't just have my wife for that. One of the things that I didn't mention, near the end of that 10 years, things got a little sketchy for us. And you need to be careful of that. So you need that support system. And also, as we finally figured out after time that we were a social enterprise, knowing that we could tap into that market of support was extremely beneficial to us. Because it helped us outline what we were doing and also to find government funding that helped us, but also can give you mission drift. But you know, those things kept the doors open, and they're still open because it's now a for-profit run cafe. It also still cares about the community, but it's a little bit different.
Okay. Another question?
Hi, my name is Tatiana from Social Enterprise Sydney. My question is for Matt. A lot of social enterprises start basically as catering or restaurants, because that seems to be one way of producing a product where they can make profit. But what would your advice be to them how to obtain basically places where they could, like, did you have your own money to start the restaurant, and is it a commercial kitchen? Because that's often, I guess, the biggest downfall of starting.
Thanks. That's a very interesting question. Lentil in Sydney started by not having any money, having no funds to get started. So when you're a social enterprise with not a lot of money, you've got to think outside the square. What we did was we looked at cafes that were in the local Newtown area that didn't have a lot of customers, that had a kitchen. So we went to one of those cafes and said, you guys close at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We'd like to set our social enterprise up. Use your kitchen between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And when we started, I negotiated rent on that site at $55 a day. So they agreed for us to pay $10 an hour to use their kitchen to get started. What it did was it actually helped a local business to be able to grow. Since then, the business has continued to foster, and they've created a thing called the South on King Collective, where now they get a lot of small businesses that are working within the food industry to actually work there. And they found it's a great way for them to be able to keep their little cookie cafe up and running. From our point of view, being able to have that low cost gave us the opportunity to then go out and talk to people. And we talk to a lot of people. We talk to people about trying to find a permanent place. We talk to people about trying to make sure that council was on side. We talk to people about trying to find funding. We also looked at trying to find the story that we could get so that we could get free press. And we also found that sometimes journalists are a little bit lazy. So if you can create a story on a Tuesday that they're thinking about, well, what am I going to write for the week? You can create something that you feel that works. We were able to do that with the Sydney Morning Herald. From the back of that, when they were talking about the fact that we had something slightly different, no prizes on a menu, then more stories came out. We finished up getting interviews with the ABC. The second time we went round, we finished up having stories from the Telegraph as well. We managed to get on the Sunrise program in the morning. And it's about being able to market and push yourself to be able to tell the story. And if you're able to do that in such a way, to find some way to get started, then just do it. People are going to say no to you all the time, but who cares? If you believe in what you're doing, you will find a way, and that's how we got started. And we started with about $300 in the bank, and a lot of goodwill, and a lot of social presence as we started. And as a consequence, when we opened the door, we had a queue of 100 people standing out the front of the door wanting to come in, and that didn't change for the entire 3 months that we were in that small cafe, to the point where we were going to be there for 6 months, and we had to leave after 3 because we were squishing all the other businesses because we'd grown so quickly. So it's just a matter of being able to believe in yourself, being able to find something different, and also find a team of people that you can work with, because especially when it came back to your question earlier, when you start to find yourself losing motivation, you have a group of other committed people with you as well, then they will bring you back up and get you started. So
what Jay said, support.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I think that's enough.
Hi there, I'm Lucy from Parramatta City Council. I'm really interested in anyone on the panel, when you first started up, whether there were any gaps that you found in how you kind of get started, in terms of could you not find funding, could you not find space to do it, you didn't know enough about social enterprise, you didn't even know social enterprise exists. I guess it's, my question's around where are the gaps in the beginning process for you, if there were any. I guess I'm looking from the council perspective to have fill gaps. Does anyone have any that they particularly noticed, or is that too complicated a question?
We found, because we didn't start off as experts in this, it's kind of a side program that we started with, but in particular what was problematic for us was because we did identify a gap. We knew we had the supporters in the community, but what was really problematic in our site was that we didn't have a DA. So did we need a DA? We were just serving coffee, we're not making food. You know, what kind of food can we serve? You know, what are the rules and regulations around that? And we found that even engaging with council on that, they weren't entirely clear on the process either. So that was problematic, and also the compliances in terms of the physical environment, but then there are other compliances in terms of the legislative requirements that we would get different perspectives from different people. But eventually we worked through that. But we still, to this day, we don't prepare food in the cafe.
Do you think those were issues about being a social enterprise in terms of confusing council, or was it just that's a complicated area?
No, I think it was just council having to deal with a community-based organisation trying to do a social enterprise. I think it's clearer if you're in a commercial area, you're setting up in a commercial premises. I think maybe that's more straightforward. I think because ours was a little bit out there, a little bit alternative, a bit, so I think that became more complicated.
Just if I could add on that, given that I work for Fairfield City Council, and council moving is very supportive of social enterprises, and so it's a move from the traditional way of government funding programs. So a lot of councils, I'm not saying all, but a number of councils are very, very proactive, and Fairfield is one of them. And the reason why we're here is because of Fairfield Council supporting social enterprise. Having said that, I'm also actually, my other role is in Liverpool Council. I also work in Liverpool Council for the other 2 days, 3 days in Fairfield. Similarly, in Fairfield, Liverpool is very supportive of social enterprise, although there are not many social enterprises in Liverpool area. So if you're thinking of setting up social enterprise, Liverpool, Fairfield, since I'm there, welcome to come and talk to me. I will do everything I can to back you up and support your project. At the same time, the club grants is just around the corner. It's just opening up now. Fairfield opened the club grants around just yesterday, and will be closed on the 15th of April. This is a great opportunity for you to get some grants, through club grants, to set up your social enterprise. Again, I've got information on my desk about the information session we're running this Wednesday at Fairfield Council, and then Liverpool, they'll be running theirs. They are a bit behind at the moment, so talk to me about the club grants. All right, one last question before we pray for lunch.
I just wanted to say, just don't rely on grants. But if you're setting up a social enterprise, you want to be able to make sure that you can fund it sustainably yourself. Grants are great to start, but if you rely on them, then you may have problems later on if you don't get it at a later stage.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very important. My experience, before I went to council, I worked for Migrant Resource Centre at Parramatta. And my position was social enterprise programs coordinator. I was funded as a position. In my role, I put in 2 submissions to club grants, and I got them all. The first grant was $19,000 to buy a car to start a fair-go driving school, and it's still running. And that is self-sustaining. You need the money to set it up. That's what I'm saying. And I also applied for another one, and we got a called Fair-Go Lawn Mowing Service. Got $29,000. There you go. So money's there for you to start off. So not for ongoing funds, but to start the project.
Sorry, the gaps that you were talking about, I've found them to be legal and accounting advice, because when you're a startup with no money, legal advice, just the thought of going to seek legal advice is, oh, that's going to cost me a lot of money. And more legal advice down the social enterprise route, not, I don't want to know, the big corporate end of town. I need to know, like getting DGR status and things like that. That's where you need that specific legal advice, and then, but at a cheaper price and available to a startup. That is, a really, really important way to keep the sustainability going, because if you've got that solid base, that's how you can grow and that's how you can flourish. And again, with the grants, that I have just received a grant, but I was given that grant on the proviso, really, that my business will be self-sustaining. It's not, oh well, okay, that's I'm going on a cruise, I'm going to spend that much, and I'm going to apply for club grant so I can go, I want to go to Thailand next week. I really have to show that to get the grant, I have to show what I'm going to do with it, and how I'm going to not need a grant again. If people want to throw money at me, well, that's another thing, but that's the way it works.
Don't be afraid to ask for it. When we went through our lease on our new property, we got free legal advice because we asked for it. And if you find a lawyer of any description, they may be happy to give you half an hour's worth of free advice, an hour's worth of free advice. The worst thing that would happen is they say no. Who cares?
All right, time is short, and I just got one last pressing question. Any one last one? No? Okay, we stop here. Thank you all for your participation, and I believe you're going to have a break after lunch. Thanks, our panel, please.